Good afternoon, New Brunswick, and welcome to the New Brunswick Today show for Friday, November 11th. I'm Charlie Cradaville. I'll be your host today. We've got a great show for you today. My special guest is going to be Carlos Ramirez, New Brunswick Today reporter. He is been covering public safety better than anyone else for us. He is just 15 years young. And it's another beautiful day today in New Brunswick. 47 degrees this morning, partly cloudy right here in downtown. And the high today is 64 degrees. The low going to be 36. That's according to weather.com. It is perfect weather for today's Veterans Day parade. Now, City Hall and the county government are closed today for the holiday, as well as the city's public school system. And right now, that Veterans Day parade is heading down George Street to the corner of George and Livingston Ave. It's arriving right about now. The parade is going to result in the closure of George Street, so you can see some traffic patterns unusual here right now. Also tonight, the northbound side of Route 27 is going to be reduced to a single lane at Somerset Street. That's from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now, our top story today is, of course, the election. We've got results for you from all the big races around the county, so stay tuned. We've also got Carlos Ramirez. He's going to bring us up to speed on some of the public safety stories that he's working on. And to all of you watching this on Facebook Live, please do us a favor, share this video right now with your friends. You can also comment on the video with your questions. You can also send your feedback to us on Twitter. Our Twitter account is @NB_today. And later today, this video is going to be available on the New Brunswick Today YouTube channel, as well as the NewBrunswickToday.com website. Now, local officials here in this Democratic stronghold are still lamenting the victory of entertainer and real estate developer Donald Trump, who won the U.S. presidential election in a stunning upset on Tuesday. Trump defeated former First Lady, former Senator, and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton thanks to the Electoral College. Clinton actually won more votes than Trump nationwide, not just here in New Jersey, but all over the country. And when all the ballots are done being counted, it's estimated that Clinton will have won nearly 2 million more votes than Donald Trump. But the citizens of the United States do not actually get to elect directly their president due to a controversial part of our Constitution known as the Electoral College. As a result of this unique system, 4 out of 5 states don't really matter throughout the course of the campaign because it's assumed which candidate will win in those states and therefore receive all of that state's electoral votes under the winner-take-all system that's used in every state except Maine and Nebraska. Now, Trump's win was no thanks to voters in New Brunswick who overwhelmingly rejected him at the polls. More than 8,000 Hub City voters cast ballots for Hillary Clinton and just over 1,300 supported Trump. The same was true across Middlesex County. You can see these results here where Clinton handily defeated Trump here in Middlesex by 59% to Trump's 38%. And now because she won more than 2 million votes in New Jersey to Trump's 1.5 million, that means all 14 of New Jersey's electoral votes went to Clinton or will go to Clinton. But in states that mattered this year, known as swing states, because they're unpredictable and could swing either way, Clinton was not so fortunate. Trump actually pulled off big upsets in Pennsylvania and Michigan and ended up securing enough electoral votes to put him over the top and send him to the White House. Now, one thing that Trump wants to do as president is introduce term limits for members of the U.S. Congress. If his plan, which would actually require a constitutional amendment, gains traction, it could mean the end of the line for New Brunswick's Congressman Frank Pallone. Pallone has been in Congress representing New Jersey since 1989, and he actually won re-election handily here on Tuesday in this gerrymandered district that includes parts of Middlesex and Monmouth counties. The final results show the voters wanted Pallone. 164,000 of them voted for him and just 90,000 for his Republican opponent Brent Sonic Schmeltz. Understandably, though, some people, including Sonic Schmeltz, feel that people shouldn't be able to stay in power that long and want congressional term limits to be the law of the land. Now, Middlesex County's controversial Democrat sheriff was re-elected as well. Millie Scott won that election handily over her opponent. So did the freeholder candidates that were her running mates. That's Kenneth Armwood, Charles Kenney, and Blanquita Valenti. They prevailed in their race over their Republican opponents. Another big winner on election night was Perth Amboy's mayor, Wilda Diaz, who was re-elected to a third term in that office. Nearly half the voters chose Diaz in the four-way race. She ended up with just over 5,900 votes, and as you can see, a lead in excess of 1,000 votes above her next closest challenger was Councilman Joe Pabon. And Diaz also saw her two council running mates elected, as well as a victory for 3 Board of Education candidates that she was backing. Now, Piscataway also re-elected their mayor, Democrat Brian Waller, to another term in that township's highest office. He defeated Republican challenger Damon Montesano with a whopping 70% of the votes cast in that contest. And meanwhile, the voters in Carteret rejected Mayor Dan Ryman's proposal to literally stop having school board elections and give the mayor the permanent power to appoint the members to the Board of Education. That measure, which we've covered on this show before, went down in flames, with 65% of Carteret voters casting their ballots for the no side. And also the voters rejected 2 of the 4 candidates that Ryman was backing for that Board of Education. Now, voters across New Jersey also voted down a vague ballot question that would allow for 2 casinos to be built somewhere in northern New Jersey. The measure was soundly defeated, while another statewide ballot question that would dedicate some of the state's diesel fuel tax to transportation projects was narrowly approved. Now, there were a lot more elections held, so check out the New Brunswick Today website, where we're going to have the full results for you in all those Middlesex County races later today. But just what does a Trump presidency mean for New Jersey and for New Brunswick? Well, it could mean we'll be getting a new governor sooner than we expected. We'll have more analysis on that in just a moment. But first, here's a video of Governor Christie calling me a joker and telling a room full of reporters that they should beat me up after I asked him one question. I asked if he thought Donald Trump was an honorable man. Take a look at that video and we'll be right back after this.
Where are you from?
I'm Charlie Pratt.
Okay. New face in the crowd.
You mentioned working with honorable people in Atlantic City, and I want to ask how much blame do you think Donald Trump is for the situation that he's in? Is he an honorable person?
He is an honorable person, and I don't believe he's ever been a office holder in Atlantic City. I don't remember Donald being mayor on the council, so he had no ability to make decisions, as far as I could tell, over how they spent their money, how much debt they went into, and whether there were pensions for lifeguards or not. So I don't think he's got a lot to do with it, but you know, it would not be a press conference on something serious without some joker asking me about Donald Trump. Yeah.
One more, please.
Yeah, we're not. Listen, you get one Trump question a press conference when I'm actually out here on substance, and the new guy back there, go beat him up. He's the one who took over. That's absolutely ridiculous. Dustin, can't hear you. Don't know. Can't hear you. Sorry. Loss of hearing.
And welcome back. On the last episode of the New Brunswick Today show, we told you that Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump and New Jersey's deeply unpopular governor both had a lot riding on the results of Tuesday's election. Now, after Trump's unexpected victory, both of their careers are looking a lot more promising. Trump has named Christie to the key position of leading the transition team. That's the same role that convicted criminal David Sampson served in when Christie became the governor back in 2009. That position's a very key position. The transition team will be responsible for making a lot of decisions about who is going to get what jobs in that Trump administration. So it stands to reason that Christie, one of the first establishment Republicans to support Trump, could get a very highly powerful position in that Trump White House, one that could start as soon as January. So like U.S. President Barack Obama, Christie is term limited and cannot run for re-election. Christie's term as governor is set to expire in 2018, but he would likely have to resign from that governor job to work for Trump's administration if he wants to leave before then. Now that would mean that Christie's lieutenant governor Kim Guadagno, would also get a promotion, and she would be elevated into New Jersey's highest office as governor, and it would give her incumbent status going into the 2017 election for New Jersey's next governor. Now, further complicating matters, both Christie and Trump have baggage that they'll be bringing with them to the White House. Trump is expected to testify in a trial against one of his business ventures, Trump University. The accusations against them are strong. They accuse Trump's organization of being a fraud. Christie is also in the earliest stages of the criminal justice process for an official misconduct charge, second-degree charge pending against him right now. Meanwhile, the state Senate Majority Leader here in New Jersey, Loretta Weinberg, has actually very recently called for Christie to be impeached, kicked out of the governor's office for his behavior during a damaging scandal involving a scheme to cause traffic jams in the borough of Fort Lee. And she's not the first to call for the governor's ouster. Now, Christie's 7 years in office here have been plagued by damaging scandals, and his approval rating in New Jersey is lower than ever before, just 19% as of the most recent poll. Just 4 days before the election, 2 of Christie's appointees, including one who was previously a state senator, were convicted of serious federal crimes in that scandal by a jury. Still, 2 others in Christie's inner circle, including his mentor, David Sampson, are also likely to spend some of the next few years behind bars after pleading guilty to charges against them. Now, as for the criminal complaint against Christie, Judge Roy McGeady signed off on the complaint, and Christie is now due in court on November 23rd at 1:30 p.m. We will see how all this shakes out, and we'll keep you posted as the future unfolds. Now, my guest today is just 15 years old, but he's already established himself as one of the top crime reporters in New Brunswick. Carlos Ramirez has been at the scene of several public safety issues, crimes, and a fire over the past week. He's been getting stories that no one else was reporting on and breaking those stories with video broadcasts on his Facebook page, which you can find at Carlos Ramirez Today. Now, while we bring Carlos into the studio, take a look at this footage he got for us early Sunday morning at what turned out to be the scene of a stabbing. And we'll be right back with Carlos Ramirez after this.
Noticia de última hora, nos encontramos en la intersección de Surinam Street y la Louis y French por reportes de un tiroteo. El incidente ocurrió hace unos minutos. Una persona se encuentra en estos momentos en la ambulancia del departamento de Brunswick Johnson. Por lo menos 2 tiroteos fueron escuchados y vimos que hombres corrieron. Nos están diciendo que nos muévanos de la escena. 2 personas se vieron corriendo por cámara de seguridad, saliendo por la parte de Railroad y Surinam, entrando hacia la calle Handy. No sabemos qué es la relación con esa señora y la persona que acaba de ser transportada de la ambulancia, pero fue un hombre que subió en esta ambulancia. Tenemos fotos, imágenes de esa persona siendo puesta en ambulancia en estos momentos. La escena ha sido cubierta en Fish World hasta parte de la calle de Surinam Street.
Desea el verde, blanco y rojo. ¿Qué pasó?
La policía del departamento de New Brunswick respondió hace unos minutos, segundos, por reportes de un tiroteo. A la escena se vio que un hombre fue transportado en esa ambulancia que se encuentra ahí en estos momentos. Una de las señoras que está ahí quiso entrar a la ambulancia para ver el estado del hombre que fue puesto en la ambulancia, pero fue negada a ver a la persona. Varias personas se vieron corriendo minutos antes a la calle Surinam y French, minutos antes que los tiroteos ocurrieran. Segundos después se vieron varias personas corriendo hacia las diferentes zonas. Nos encontramos reportando aquí en la 142 French y Surinam Street por reportes de un tiroteo. Se reporta una persona posiblemente herida en esa ambulancia del hospital Robert Johnson. Carlos Ramirez. That was a video recorded on Sunday morning, shortly before 2 a.m. early Sunday morning at the intersection of Sudam Street and Railroad Avenue. The New Brunswick Police Department is searching for a man who stabbed another person during a street fight after a single gunshot at him, but missing. Police identified the person stabbed as 38-year-old Manuel Amaya, a resident from New Brunswick. According to the New Brunswick Police news release, Mr. Amaya told officers that he and his friends were involved in a fight with other Hispanic males. It's unknown what they were fighting about. A witness told New Brunswick today that she was on the phone with 911 dispatchers alerting them about the street disturbance when a shot was heard. Within minutes, police and ambulance responded to the scene where Mr. Amaya was lifted into an ambulance and transported to Robert Johnson Hospital, where he was treated for cuts in his abdomen with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect with the gun was described as a Mexican-American male wearing a black sweater, clean-shaven, and having a ponytail. The second suspect is described as a Mexican-American male wearing a black jacket, red shirt, and a black hat, said Captain Miller from the New Brunswick Police Department. Residents in the area say they are not surprised. Just a couple of weeks ago, another man was injured when they cut him in his abdomen as well. Police were able to arrest the suspect at the scene. Police also ask anyone with information to call Detective Brand Gregas at 732-745-5217. Anyone witnessing a crime can anonymously call 911 if it's an emergency, or call the 732-745-5200 for non-emergency calls. Another story I've been covering is a fire on Remsen Avenue. Here's some video I shot on Monday night. We can take a look at it right now. Estamos reportando desde la calle Remsen, en medio de la calle Redman y la calle Towson, por una casa que se quemó. Según el departamento de policías, el incendio empezó a un tiempo alrededor de las 9, en las 9:30. Cuando el departamento de bomberos respondió a la escena y el departamento de policía, según el oficial, se encontró una persona adentro, tal vez una persona sin hogar, homeless, conocido en inglés, adentro de esa casa que está abandonada. Según el oficial, piensa que el incendio se fue causado por una clase de cigarrillo que la persona tal vez estuvo fumando, pero no se sabe si eso fue lo que pasó. El incendio está siendo investigado ahora por el departamento de bomberos, que se encuentra en estos momentos en la escena tomando fotos, igual que el departamento de policía de New Brunswick, que hemos visto entrar y salir de esa casa, que ahora está siendo chequeada, que también fue chequeada según por un residente por la compañía de PSCNG, que estuvo hace unas horas aquí, pero luego se retiró. La calle todavía sigue bloqueada de las dos secciones de la calle Redmond y Towson, así que toda la calle Remsen está cerrada, así que si tiene que ir a un lugar, tome otras rutas alternativas para llegar a su destino. No se sabe si la persona que estaba dentro de esa casa fue llevada al hospital, ya que no se reportaron heridas. No se sabe si esa persona fue transportada al hospital por una evaluación o si fue detenido por el departamento de policía por traspasar a la vivienda que yo creo que es propiedad privada y que le pertenece a otra persona, y está clausurada la casa con madera. No se sabe si se van a levantar cargos con esa persona que estuvo ahí, pero seguiremos reportando de estas noticias. Reportando desde New Brunswick, Nueva Jersey, Carlos Ramírez, New Brunswick Today. Police say a 65-year-old homeless man inside an uninhabited house could have caused a fire on 53 Remsen Avenue. The fire allegedly started on the second floor sometime after 9 p.m., where firefighters pulled out a man. That man was transported to Robert Johnson Hospital for minor burns and smoke inhalation. Shutting down that street between Towson and Redmond. According to police, no charges have been filed at this time. The street where the fire occurred was closed for a few hours as police and firefighters investigating. According to police, investigators discovered that the fire The fire was caused as homeless were trying to keep warm in that abandoned building. In other news, Lazos America Unida, a non-profit organization that advocates for Mexican community here in New Brunswick and Ice-Free New Jersey, will be holding a statewide strategic meeting to defend the state's immigrant communities from decision the new president might take against them. The event will take place tomorrow, Saturday 12 at 4 p.m. in 100 College Avenue. According to ABC7 LA, more than 100 people have been arrested during last night's protesting against Donald Trump in downtown LA. One officer is reported, at least on the scene, was hospitalized and patrol vehicles were vandalized, police say. This was the second night anti-Trump protests have occurred throughout the parts of the country as well, including New York City. According to sources, more than 100 people have been arrested or detained. South Brunswick police are also investigating a recent targeting in 6 different signs for Ashra Beg, a Muslim woman who wears a hijab and was re-elected for board of bad member, was targeted by anti-Islamic graffiti.
Thank you, Carlos, for that excellent report. Great job.
Thank you.
And thank you for the hard work you've been doing. You always seem to be in the right place at the right time. I know that fire you covered was actually in my neighborhood, but I was here in downtown working on our election coverage, but you were on the spot there for that coverage. Tell us, how do you always end up in the right place at the right time? Where'd you hear about the fire?
Well, I was told by a friend who actually lives 2 houses away from there. She called me, she was like, oh, there's a house on fire, and it appears that the ambulance took a man inside.
Yeah, it was actually one person injured in that blaze. Like you said, it was minor burns and smoke inhalation, but very sad whenever anybody gets injured in a fire, especially in a building like that. It was abandoned, so it might have been hard for the firefighters to tell if somebody was in there that needed to be rescued, but they did the right thing and did rescue him. Tell us, Carlos, we did a broadcast over the weekend where we played another video of you actually documenting yet another crime on French Street, or an investigation, let's say, on French Street. Tell people, what was the message of that broadcast, which you actually did in Spanish?
Well, my message that I transmitted the other day on Spanish on my personal news page was me asking the residents of New Brunswick and drivers as well as cyclists to respect state laws on traffic. That referring to recent pedestrians and cyclists being hit in motor vehicle accidents that we have reported on. Personally, I ride a bike to get to my destinations to cover scenes, and I've seen many times that vehicles fail to yield to the cyclists or pedestrians, and sometimes resulting in very bad scenarios. So my message is and request is for the residents, drivers to respect state law and respect each other while outside on the streets or in the road.
Okay, and you also told people to respect you and respect journalists when you see Carlos or myself or any other reporter with New Brunswick Today or another newspaper, to respect the work that they're doing and not interfere or in some cases I think you actually were you got kind of hit or shoved at one of these crime scenes, right?
Yeah, right.
So don't hit Carlos. If you see him out there, he's just trying to do his job. You do a very good job, and I think you do a very good service for the community here. You're really helping inform the public, and you're one of the best bilingual reporters we've ever had the pleasure of working with, so keep up the good work. Tell us, though, what do you think about the future of our country now that we have a new president? You mentioned there's already plans for people to fight back or to try to protect themselves from what President Trump might do. Tell us, what do you hope to get out of that meeting tomorrow at the Second Reformed Church?
We're hoping that the organizations hosting this event can put out a message out to the community here in New Brunswick and throughout the state on how they can protect themselves and what state laws are in regarding to human rights and protection for the immigrant communities here, especially those families that have, they're immigrants that have children that were born actually here in the U.S.
Right. And so there's a large portion of New Brunswick are immigrants who might be affected by changes in immigration policy. Some of the things that the future president have said have frightened the community. Tell us, you did a story about a family that was being threatened and actually told that, hey, we're going to come back and arrest people if, when Trump gets elected. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, that incident occurred a couple of weeks ago where a family contacted the organization Lazos America Unida. Through there, we got a message and we responded to the house. According to the family from the home, they said they were visited by some unknown law enforcement looking for a man that no longer lived in that home. Those officers searched throughout the home and they entered a room where some young children were sleeping, and the officers apparently flashed the light onto their face. Those children woke up scared, running, and those officers threatened the family to come back and arrest them if they were also seen in public. Teresa Vivar, the founder of Lazos America Unida, calling this home arrest, telling them that if they're seen in public, they will be arrested.
Yeah, so very concerning. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. at the Second Reformed Church on College Avenue is where folks can go if they want to learn more about this event jointly organized by Lazos America Unida and Ice Free New Jersey. That is an important event. You'll be there, right? I'm going to try to go as well.
Yeah, we'll try to be there.
And definitely, if you're interested, join up. It's a great community event at a great church on College Avenue here in New Brunswick. And Carlos, tell folks where they can find your work online.
You could visit our work at our website, New Brunswick Today, and for bilingual news reporting that are happening or breaking or developing, you could visit my personal Facebook page. I usually post reports in Spanish. You could find that Carlos Ramirez Today in Facebook. You could see our cover says New Brunswick, New Jersey, or a picture of the city. And also below there are many news reports in Spanish that you could read or share with your friends that don't speak English.
Cool. So please like both those pages, New Brunswick Today and Carlos Ramirez Today. And watch out for this guy. He's going to be on real TV soon. Keep up the good work. Thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week with some more great shows for you at New Brunswick Today.